if the investigation shows that vote buying occurred, is your leadership legitimate?
My leadership is fully legitimate. But we're talking again about something that's written. You're putting in the integrity of the full process, which is, maybe you can talk about the process, and about the integrity of volunteers across Quebec. I cannot accept that. Our people are there for the right reasons. They wake up and they give their time, they pay gas to go to a meeting with the General Council because they believe in the party. So I will not accept that premise that people are doing this. If there are people that did this, there will be full consequences.
But if they did it, what's the consequence to you, sir?
But I cannot speculate on something you tell me, if there's crooks in your party. If people did something wrong, they will face the consequences. And if you want to see the results, they're all public online.
So that's Pablo Rodriguez, the leader, of course, of the Provincial Liberal Party. I haven't heard him that animated since he became the leader of the Provincial Liberal Party. James Mennie, Montreal Gazette's on the line. Jim, has this risen to like DEFCON level 1 for the Liberals? Or what?
Absolutely. I mean, listen to the guy's voice. He sounds, worst comes to worst, he sounds like he was absolutely gobsmacked by this, which, above and beyond everything else, the guy's the head of the Liberal Party. One of the things that I haven't heard, I'm just looking at the infamous TVA network, which with the Journal de Montréal kind of broke this story. One of the things that came from the press conference is apparently there had been rumors of this kicking around since last spring, but they seem so vague and they seem so, because apparently there's a very competitive leadership race. Nobody really decided to look into it. But the fact that Mr. Rodriguez, on the one hand, has said, we're going to bring an external firm out to verify these claims, to examine these so-called texts, to examine what's behind these allegations. Well, that's the right thing to do, but it also it's flat out states that this is something that is a big deal, a very big deal, that the Liberals understand. And at this point, I have to include the entire party in this because they're not immune to this. This is not about Pablo Rodriguez. This is about the entire future and reputation of the Liberal Party of Quebec, which, some would think had been somewhat rehabilitated over the 8 years it has spent in the wilderness. But there are angles that keep popping up on this story. You may have seen reports this morning. 98.5 FM had a report citing two MNAs who actually had to turn around and go on social media. I'm not going to mention their names. Their party, one's a Liberal, the other one's with the CAC. They actually had to go on social media and say, "I have nothing to do with it." So yes, on the one hand, by all means, clear the air. By all means, have an external investigation. An independent investigation, maybe the best investigation, given the gravity of these allegations. The best suggestion I've heard thus far comes from Eric James, who's head of the Quebec Conservative Party, saying, listen, you know what, this sounds like a job for UPAC. This is why these guys were created. And indeed, UPAC spent a tremendous amount of time looking at party fundraising and so on and so forth. Maybe that would be the best way to look at it and really, really clear the air on this. But honestly, just in the past 24 hours, Aaron, as I say, you might want to rethink your election pool picks if you had the Quebec Liberals, because if this is not settled in a very definitive manner that will say, okay, you know what, y a rien là, let's move on, nothing to see here. This is going to stick to the Liberals like glue, and it's great to have press conferences. I didn't know a thing about this. We've all covered stories where politicians say, I didn't know anything about this, and then things went south. And I'm not saying that Rodriguez did know anything about it, but the fact is, being held in total ignorance on something like this, that apparently some reporters were able to find out and get enough on, and despite perhaps Mr. Rodriguez's suggestion that, the Journal should have guts and name names and blow sources, the fact is they felt confident enough to post this story. I think they're big boys over at TVA, at the Journal de Montréal. They know the consequences if they get this wrong. So we'll wait and see what happens. But the bottom line here is I don't know what the mandate is of this independent firm, but I really hope their deadline was like yesterday, because if this is still kicking around by after next weekend, we have an entirely new narrative for the Liberal Party of Quebec. And guess what? It's not one that suggests that it may have a chance at being a government in waiting.
By the way, Eric Duhem is going to join us just after 5:30, so it'll be interesting to get his take. Yeah. But the thing that struck me today, outside of, as you said, Pablo Rodriguez spending a lot of time and energy, just I had nothing to do with it. No, it's not me, and stand up. Marwa Risky, the question came up, right? Because obviously she's the thing that sort of got this whole thing going. Yet he kept saying, "I don't know. Ask Marwa Risky." And my understanding, Jim, we have heard nothing from her camp at all, have we?
No, and the fact, once again, my proviso, I've seen nothing, and if there was something out, I apologize, but I still think the single most eloquent statement, that, and this is my opinion, that Madame Risky gave was when she went to see Pablo Rodriguez, she brought her lawyer. So I would suspect that is someone who realizes perhaps that, perhaps her credibility, perhaps her version of events will be challenged, and so on and so forth. But I think she went into that meeting loaded for bear, so to speak. And I think when you do hear from Marwa Risky, it is going to be when Madame Risky thinks it's absolutely necessary for her to do so. Right now, the onus is on Pablo Rodriguez. I'm very sorry. These allegations are extremely serious. And indeed, rightly or wrongly, they do fall on him. It is upon Mr. Rodriguez to get to the bottom of this as quickly as possible as leader of the Quebec Liberal Party. And when you're standing within the space of 24 hours, Aaron, and we just heard in that clip, when you're standing at a press conference and someone says, well, if this proves to be true, is your leadership legitimate? In other words, even if you didn't know that this was going on, if this was going on, are you the legitimate leader of the party? This is a situation that you've got to nip in the bud. And as I say, time is of the essence here. If this is allowed to drag on, it's only going to go south for the Liberals.
I'm not sure we can call this a Christmas gift for Francois Legault, but you know what? A little early on that. But there is going to be an economic update coming, and we already know, Jim, last time around, what are we at, a $13 billion deficit? The news can't get any worse, so what do you make of what's going to be coming?
Well, maybe Christmas will come early for people like you and me, Aaron, and all the other Quebecers who pay taxes in this jurisdiction. Maybe they'll turn around and say, things are tough. And, Père Noël is just around the corner. So I'm going to cut you guys a check for $500 each just in time for Christmas, just to show you that I love you. I'm kind of joking here, Aaron, but the fact is this is a government that is desperately fighting for its survival. I don't think it gives a tinker's damn about the level of deficits or the outlook down the road. Right now, this is a government that is trying to think, I guess, scheduling its existence on a monthly basis. Because who knows? Don't underestimate rather the possibilities that Francois Legault will actually leave office just in time for Christmas, or perhaps there will be a Yuletide mutiny in the caucus of the CAQ. So it's going to be very interesting to see the depth and the direction of this economic update, and whether it's just a matter of Girard saying, yeah, everything's okay, we're on track, blah, 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 and it's more just how can I put it, a timekeeping, a watch-keeping exercise to reassure Quebecers. But honestly, economic updates and press conferences, you shouldn't stage one unless you've got something to say. So we'll see what they do have to say, but I'm really going to wonder if whether indeed Francois Legault will take one last kick at the can as trying to be Mon Francois and make everybody happy just in time for Christmas.
As you say that, though, I can't help think he's done this before. It worked before, and I'm thinking, it's so transparent in a sense. You think he would really do this yet again, and Quebecers don't see through this as a way to just buy another election?
I wouldn't say they don't see through it, but I got to tell you, I think they saw through it the last time, but he got a second term.
I don't know. It's just...
Oh, I know. Listen, I'm not arguing, but what I'm saying
I know. I understand.
They take the money and say, what the hell, I'll vote for the guy. He gave me $500. You know what the hell? But this, we're paying the price for that. And you and I tend to joke around and whatever on this segment. But the fact is, I have also pointed out repeatedly that the damage that is being done by this party, by this government to Quebec, is ongoing, and we can only hope that between now and next October, any of that damage, especially in its ridiculous identity-based policies, its appeal to the lowest basest instincts of Quebecers, of some Quebec voters, that the damage won't be permanent, and indeed that we can undo the real mess that Francois Legault and company are leaving behind them in this province.
By the way, I should mention, speaking of the Journal, right, aside from this whole Pablo Rodriguez incident, there's a story today, and we're going to try to follow up on this, about how much money this CAQ government has lost in major business. It's a staggering amount of money, and Pierre Fitzgibbon's involved too.
Yeah. Well, what's spooky here is if we ever took clips, because you and I have been talking about this literally for years, but if we ever put a pastiche together of all the clips you talked about and the money that went out the window, and we did the math, we did the ciphering on that, and we came up, it would be the same. It would be the same amount. But the problem is, this is part of the CAQ brand right now. It's like money out the window, and you know what? Maybe in the end, that is what is really going to get everyone's hackles up. We'll see. But as I've also pointed out repeatedly on the show, I think a lot of us, and I include myself in that, are just so punch drunk from this daily incompetence, this daily arrogance, this daily sense of entitlement from this government, that we're just at this point numb to it and go, okay, another day at the office.
Jim, 180 degrees away, because I'm going to ask this question when I come back. I don't know if you had a chance to see Bill Ackman, the billionaire investor. He's gone viral on TikTok for posting dating advice. He says that, wait, hold on. The best line, he says, and it worked for him when he was younger, because, of course, now the thinking is young men simply don't go out there. There's whole stories about that, the fact they don't want to date, they don't want to get out of their house. He said, if you don't want to just, have to worry about it, he suggested the best line you can use, okay, his approach is, "May I meet you?" as the first line to meet your significant other. Simply, "May I meet you?" And I'm asking people for, if they remember their lines, and some of the callers have been great, what they said to meet their eventual, husband, wife, etc. Do you remember, you've been married for a long time, do you remember what your line was when you first met your wife?
Oh, it's a long story I can't go into, but let me tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't, hey, did you trip and fall into a tub of babe sauce?
Oh, it wasn't that. That's good to know.
It wasn't that.
All right, excellent. Okay. One day we'll find out. Oh, yeah. Jim, thank you. I appreciate it.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.